Hi, it's Rich Wurzbach. I'm broadcasting from the barn today and going to give you a little overview of how you can take a sample from an opening larger than the grease thief. So there's my grease thief, and this has needs a clearance of about 1/2 inch diameter to get into the machine. I was talking to somebody today about threading this threaded end here into the motor drain, and theirs is bigger than this, so you really can't thread it and leave it there, which would be nice. You'd leave it in place, and then as you add new grease and the old grease comes out, it would just kind of push that piston down, and you end up with a full grease thief, protected grease, and so on. But when the opening's substantially larger than that, you got to be careful about using adapters and making that essentially a smaller purge path, because by the design of that motor, it may need that. So I said, hey, let's think about how we could get a sample just with the grease thief. And normally you'd want to bring into play the T-handle device here, where the grease thief is put into it, and then you're able to actuate it. You can, when I go into the machine, it's actually pushing the body of the grease thief forward in this device that we call the T-handle, so you can core the sample. But if you don't have that handy, I said, one thing you could do is, and I'm kind of working upside down here because I'm working top down. That's just what I have, is like a partially used tube of grease here. But I'm going to take my hand and push and hold the white plastic tip and push it into where I believe it's about where it's going to contact the grease, and then grab the body and core it forward. So I'm pushing it down into, whatever my device is or whatever I'm trying to take the sample from. And then just wiggle a little bit out of there. Now, it didn't work real well. I probably didn't push it in far enough, or I started it too soon. So that's why it's tricky to get it just right with these. But I did get, you can see, about that much grease with that process. Of course, ideally, we like to try to fill the grease thief up. And if you're able to, let me just move that grease away here. And this is some pretty firm grease. I think it's been sitting in the barn and drying out for a while. But if you're able to start with it, in this position, move it up to where you're into the body of the grease, and then you're holding the handle and just pushing the body forward. Now, you really have to hold the handle in place, because if it moves down, you're going to end up with air pockets. But if you get good at that, you practice a little bit, you may be able to come out with a decent amount of grease in the grease thief that way. So kind of push it down in until you get into that surface, and then you're kind of coring that down and then pulling that out. So again, I think I only have a little thin layer here of grease, and that's why I'm not getting a whole lot doing this, but I am getting some. So that's one way to do it. The other would be with this T-handle, and you can make adjustments to this. It has these different settings, so you can pull this out and decide how far in you want it to go before it starts the coring process. But this just has a little bit of grease near the top, so I won't go in very far. Now go ahead and I'll make that setting. And here, I bring it down. Let me show it this way, you can see it with the T. And I go down, and then from here, I'm like into the body of the grease, and then I just hold it in place, and I push down this handle part, and now it's coring that sample. So that'll get me down maybe into the more where the grease is and get more of it into the grease thief. So two ways of doing that. I also mentioned that some of our kits, like the pillow block kit, have these spatulas in them, so you may be able to reach up in the machine and dig some grease out. And we provide a syringe with that you can put the grease into, and then get it into the grease thief. So a couple ways to do this, some with the right tools, some if you don't have the right tools handy. Just kind of make them familiar with the different ways you can take a grease sample. Go to greasethief.com and our MRG Laboratories YouTube channel for more information on grease sampling.